Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're opening up a set of sources that analyze, well, one of the most vital books ever written, George Orwell's 1984.
Or 1984, as it's often published.
Right. And our mission here is to really distill the essence of it. We want to move past just a simple plot summary and get into its terrifying themes, the history that drove Orwell to write it.
And why its language, still defines how we talk about surveillance and control even today.
Exactly.
We've synthesized a lot of material here, critical essays, deep contextual notes, and, of course, excerpts from the novel itself. The goal is to give you a really rapid but thorough understanding of Oceania.
A world defined by, as our sources say, watchwords for life without freedom.
Yeah, this is so much more than just literature. It's almost a manual on how totalitarianism works, and we're going to try and unpack those mechanisms for you.
Okay, let's unpack it. I think the best place to start is the genre itself. I mean, 1984 is maybe the definitive dystopian novel.
Absolutely. The sources are really clear. A dystopia is an imagined world that's just systematically far worse than our own. It's the dark mirror of a utopia.
And in Oceania, everything is broken on purpose. By design.
And that broken world is the backdrop for the tragedy of Winston Smith. He's our protagonist, a kind of low-level functionary in the party.
He works at the Ministry of Truth, which is, of course, deeply ironic.
Yeah, he literally rewrites history for a living. But internally, he's a man fighting this leasing battle against his own government, against this absolute oppression.
And Winston's rebellion, his attempt to reclaim his own identity, it starts with something so small, almost pathetic. He opens a diary.
Which is a mortal sin.
It's a direct thought crime, just writing down your own thoughts.
Yeah.
And then it escalates, right? He starts a secret, forbidden relationship with Julia.
After she slips in that note, just 4 simple words, I love you.
So dangerous, but so profoundly human.
And the sources emphasize that these acts, the diary, the relationship, they're precisely what bring him to the attention of the state for what they call reform.
They don't just want to kill rebels.
No, they want to cure them of the ability to even think independently. That's the goal.
And the setting itself, Air Trip 1, what used to be Great Britain, it's a tool of control, too. It's just this perpetual, aggressive gloom.
The very first sentence of the book tells you everything. The clocks are striking 13.
Right. Instantly, the basic rules of reality have been warped.
The whole setting is this nightmare mix of post-war London scarcity and the aesthetics of a communist state. Winston's apartment building, Victory Mansions.
Victory Mansions, yeah.
It's a landscape of decay. It smells of boiled cabbage and old rag mats. The lifts never work. The air is gritty.
But against all that physical decay, you have the party's flawless psychological doctrine plastered everywhere.
Those infamous slogans, war is peace.
Freedom is slavery.
And ignorance is strength. You see them on the Ministry of Truth, even on the coins in his pocket.
And what's so fascinating is that these aren't just, mottos. They're the intellectual architecture of the whole system.
They force party members to practice what Orwell calls doublethink.
Which is?
It's the capacity to hold 2 completely contradictory beliefs in your mind at the same time, and to accept both of them. To genuinely believe, for instance, that constant war is what keeps society stable, that war is peace.
It's kind of mental self-destruction.
That's exactly what it is, and it's required.
Which leads us directly into the tools the party uses.
Yeah.
The terrifying tools. We've got Big Brother and the omnipresent telescreen.
Right. They work in tandem. Big Brother is the manufactured focus of all loyalty. He's the face on the posters. A man about 45, heavy black mustache.
And that caption, Big Brother is watching you.
But the real instrument of terror is the telescreen. It's described as an oblong metal plaque like a dulled mirror.
And the scariest part is that it works both ways. It's not just broadcasting at you.
It's listening and watching.
Always. You can dim it a bit, but as the book says,
Yeah.
There was no way of shutting it off completely.
You're perpetually visible, perpetually audible. And that psychological pressure leads Winston to this chilling realization that nothing is his own.
Nothing except the few cubic centimeters inside your skull. That's the only private space left.
And the party makes sure that even that internal space is constantly under attack. Which brings us to the 2 minutes hate.
This is such a powerful scene, this daily ritual where party members all gather together.
And they just scream. They scream violently at an image of the state's supposed enemy, Emmanuel Goldstein, the primal traitor.
It's this spectacle of pure manufactured fury.
Yeah.
But why? Why is this so crucial for the party?
Well, the sources make it clear. It's designed to maintain a mentality appropriate to a state of war. It is emotional engineering.
So you channel all the public's frustration.
All of it. Any anger, any discontent. You channel it away from the party's failures, the broken lifts, the bad food, and you aim it at a designated scapegoat.
And that anger is released as loyalty to Big Brother.
Eh.
So if that's how they control emotion, the next step is controlling thought itself. And that's where newspeak comes in.
Right. Beyond the surveillance, beyond the manufactured hate, newspeak is the party's most innovative and maybe its most permanent tool of control.
So it's the official language of Oceania.
And it's deliberately crafted to narrow the range of thought. They're literally pruning the language. The vocabulary gets smaller every year.
Which is the opposite of how languages normally evolve.
Right. And the ultimate goal is, well, it's intellectual sterilization.
But how can you make thought crime literally impossible just by getting rid of words?
By eliminating ambiguity. By removing nuance. Think about a word like freedom.
Okay.
If the party can strip away all the positive or critical meanings of that word, or even just get rid of it completely, the concept itself starts to vanish from your consciousness.
So you can't think about something if you don't have the words for it.
Pretty much. For example, instead of saying something is bad, you might have to say it's ungood. If there are no complex words for political ideas, sophisticated rebellion becomes, well, literally unthinkable.
Wow. That's profound. The party is fighting a war against the future, trying to erase the language the next generation would need to even form a dissenting thought.
And this control extends backwards in time, too, through what the sources call the mutability of the past.
Which is Winston's job.
Absolutely. The party claims that history is fluid, that it only exists in records and in memory. So Winston's job at the Ministry of Truth Minutru is to constantly rewrite documents.
He's correcting the past.
Correcting old news articles, old speeches, and then he destroys the originals, he drops them down the memory hole, and they're whisked away to be incinerated.
So the party slogan makes perfect sense. Who controls the past, controls the future. Who controls the present, controls the past.
It's a perfect closed loop of logic.
So, if the party's control is so airtight for its members, where is there any hope? Winston himself believes that if there was hope, it lay in the proles.
The proles. They're the great paradox of Oceania. They're the working class, about 85% of the population.
And they're basically ignored by the party.
For the most part, yeah. They're allowed to live by their ancestral code. They get cheap media, gambling, football, all without the intense indoctrination that party members face. The party's official line is, literally, proles and animals are free.
But is that really freedom? Or is it just a kind of advanced neglect? I mean, doesn't the fact that the proles are too ignorant to rebel just prove the party's own slogan, that ignorance is strength?
That is the critical, crushing irony of the book. Their freedom exists because they pose no intellectual threat.
They're kept happy with what the party calls prole feed.
Exactly. As long as they're focused on trivial things, their freedom is granted. But it's a freedom without consciousness, which Orwell implies isn't really freedom at all.
And Winston's personal symbols of freedom, they're not grand ideas. They're these small, physical things. Relics from before the party, like that glass paperweight he buys.
Oh, the paperweight's so important. It's described as doubly attractive because of its apparent uselessness.
It's just a beautiful, useless thing from the past.
Exactly. It has this piece of coral suspended inside the glass. It's a literal pocket of the past, solid, clear, and beautiful. And he sees the little room above Mr. Charrington's shop in the same way.
Where he meets Julia.
Yes. He sees it as a metaphorical pocket of the past where extinct animals could walk. A little bubble of safety that he desperately wants to be real.
So let's move beyond the fiction for a moment. We have to remember this novel was published in 1949, and it was explicitly a warning against totalitarian government. What real-world facts were fueling Orwell's vision?
The inspiration was deeply personal and political. A huge influence was his time fighting in the Spanish Civil War.
He went there as an anti-fascist.
He did, but he quickly saw that he was getting lies and propaganda from both sides, from the Stalinists, who were supposedly his allies, and from the fascists.
So he was disillusioned by everyone.
Completely. That experience cemented his belief in objective truth. He was even shot in the throat during the fighting, which, you have to imagine, physically and mentally reinforced his vigilance against state lies.
So the purges in Oceania, the cult of personality around Big Brother, that's all drawn from Stalin's Soviet Union.
Exactly. Winston's job at Minutru, rewriting history, that directly mirrors how the Soviets would literally edit purged officials out of photographs and history books.
And then there are the technological anxieties of the late 40s.
Right. Orwell was writing just as television was becoming a mass medium. The first BBC broadcast was in 1937. He foresaw, maybe better than anyone, how this new technology could become a dominant force, not just for entertainment,
But for total two-way surveillance.
which leads directly to the terrifying reality of the telescreen.
And even the dinginess of Airstrip 1, that's just post-war London, isn't it?
Right.
The rationing, the broken buildings.
Absolutely. It wasn't some far-flung sci-fi world. It was a projection built from the real-world degradation he saw all around him, combined with the most terrifying political possibilities of his time.
Okay, so finally we have to place 1984 in the canon of prophetic warnings. How does it compare to other literary nightmares?
Well, the sources list a few key ones. Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, Orwell's other big one, Animal Farm.
And of course, Aldous Huxley's Brave New World.
Yes, the relationship between 1984 and Brave New World is really important. Our sources suggest they should always be read together.
Because they represent two different paths to the same end.
Exactly. In 1984, control is achieved through pain, fear, and deprivation. It's the boot stamping on a human face forever.
Whereas in Brave New World,
In Huxley's world, control is achieved through pleasure, through conditioning, drugs, and engineered happiness. Huxley worried we'd be ruined by what we love. Orwell worried we'd be ruined by what we fear.
and both are just chillingly relevant critiques.
No question.
And the legacy of 1984 is just undeniable. I mean, Big Brother, Newspeak, Thought Crime, the memory hole. These words have entered our global language. They're universal shorthand for tyranny.
Which proves Orwell's warning has really transcended the page.
It's become a cultural necessity.
So, to review, we've covered the basics of Winston's doomed rebellion, the mechanics of party control through Newspeak and that constant surveillance, and the specific historical fears, Stalinism, the rise of television, that gave birth to this prophetic work.
Which brings us to our final thought. It's rooted in the psychological climax of the book, when Winston is being tortured by O'Brien. And O'Brien asks him, "Do you remember writing your diary? Freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 make 4.
That's it. That's the last piece of independent reality Winston is clinging to. The freedom to acknowledge a simple, objective truth.
But the party demands more than just obedience. They demand the destruction of reality itself. O'Brien forces Winston to accept that the party has the power to make 2 + 2 make 5.
And not just to say it, but to believe it.
So here's the question for you to think about. Is the ultimate victory of totalitarianism only achieved when that freedom to trust your own senses is completely extinguished?
Winston eventually concludes that all happenings are in the mind.
So if a power can truly control what happens in your mind, if they can make you believe, truly believe, that 2 + 2 = 5, what reality is even left to cling to? That, I think, is the deepest fear at the heart of Oceania.